what sucks about Sporting this year is I can probably count on one hand where they've actually put together a complete game beginning to end. And so, like, I feel like you look at what Peter says after this game, and, I think we actually started off the game really well. We had 3 or 4 corners in a row. We were keeping them in their end. We didn't give them anything. And then they got their goal off us being in a position to play forward, but we played backwards. Volliter gets stuck, and then we were for sure the better team at that time, but they scored. I don't know if it put us back on our heels a bit or what. It feels like it's the same story every time.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back.
Yo.
Another episode of No Other Pod. I'm Jimmy, along with my good buddy and the star of Jersey Boys at Topeka Civic Theater, Daniel Kooser. Dan, how's it going? One of the stars, I should say. There's 4 equal stars in this show?
I wouldn't say equal. Obviously, everyone knows Frankie Valli's the guy,
Yeah.
I don't come in for 44 pages. It's nice. I can hang back there and watch a good portion of a Casey Current game or something,
There you go. That's awesome.
All the time.
Casey Current, they had a big game against Orlando on the road, trying to get revenge for that, I don't know what you want to call it, the Marta game, where she lost her damn mind back earlier in the year in Kansas City. So make sure you check out Currently this week. I'm sure Dan and Chris will be breaking down that. It was a 0-0 draw, but it was not for lack of action.
I'm telling you, 0-0 draw has never been more exciting to talk about. So
yeah,
it feels like a good thing.
And there's a battle for the golden boot atop the NWSL between Temwa Chewinga and Barbara Banda. So make sure you check out Currently and get your current fix. So
there you go.
Good deal. But yeah, there's a sporting game to talk about. It happened, and it's not my most favorite game that we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about what happened in Seattle.
Yeah, I guess we will, won't we?
Well, we don't have a ton of choice in the matter. And there's 2 big games. Well, are they big games?
We could do literally anything else. Hey, what kind of video games you playing? Have a good time? We playing anything cool?
You know what video game I actually started playing again recently? I don't know why. I saw a YouTube video about it. I was like, I haven't played that in a long time. Fall Guys. Did you ever play Fall Guys when it was real popular back in 3 years ago? 2021.
What is that?
It's you're the little bean guy and you're running through the obstacle course and there's the different levels. You're trying to be the last guy standing.
It's on Game Pass.
It's on Switch for free. You can download it on Switch. It's probably on Xbox for free. It's on everything now, basically free download. So yeah, you can dress up your little bean in different outfits that you earn. And I got a crown my first time playing again. So
it sounds like some mindless fun, and we all need a little bit of that sometimes.
It is mindless fun.
I've gotten a little darker with my gaming as I just finished 2010's Mafia 2 and just started 2016's Mafia 3. And that's some shit. That's like storytelling to the max.
In theory, I like games like that. I find myself getting very stressed out playing them. So
yeah, you're in the mob. It's stressful. It's very stressful.
Yeah, I don't want to play a game to get stressed. That's where I never I'm going to sound like an old man for a second here. I never understood I'm going to watch a guy play a game on Twitch or whatnot. It never made sense to me. And but now actually post pandemic, I kind of get it, especially with how cinematic games are now. I love the Last of Us TV series. I've never played any of the Last of Us games. I don't know if I'd have a fun time playing the Last of Us games because I think I'd be very stressed playing it. But I kind of want to see the Last of Us story. I could almost see myself watching a series of YouTube videos or whatnot, following along somebody playing through the game. I don't want to necessarily see them die a bunch of times, but if someone was put together a YouTube playlist of hey, I played through the game, you could see the story. I could get kind of into that because I kind of want to know the story. So I don't know. All the games I play are Mario Party.
I love everything that's a good cinematic adventure. One of the best ones out there, man, is Quantum Break. With one of those Ashmore brothers, and it's like time travel, and there's 15-minute cutscenes. It's a movie. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean our producer Nick's talking about how he always wants to do the right thing in games. That's that's almost the games that I do play that are give you a choice, good or evil. I don't know if it's just like there's something weird inside me or what, but like that's my chance to like not be like rule follower. I always grew up rule follower or whatever, but like Grand Theft Auto or Knights of the Old Republic, or even like I haven't played Hogwarts Legacy yet, but like when I
Dark Wizard,
I want to be a Dark Wizard. Like I feel like
certainly was. I mean, I was doing some Crucio on people, and it was pretty dark. They were struggling.
Yeah, it's fun, but I don't know. So.
It's one, dude. When you play these games for so long though, and then you are driving your actual car and you pull up behind a cop, you're like, act cool. No speeding. Don't run into this cop and give him a reason to come arrest you. Then you got to go change your license plates.
You got to stay at 0 stars. You don't want to get up to the 6 stars or whatever it is where the tanks are coming.
Yes, I got to go change your appearance because you're wanted. It's a crazy situation.
Yeah. Red Dead 2, that's another game where, like, in theory, I really want to play it, but just, like, the undertaking of that game just seems so overwhelming. So,
well, I don't.
One day I'll get through. I'm hip and modern on my games because I just, a couple months ago started playing Breath of the Wild. So, only, like, Zelda came out in, like, 2017.
Okay.
So, I'm only, like, 7.5 years behind.
So sorry. Just caught a little bit of flack there. Zelda, you fucking idiot.
Well, it's considered one of the best games of all time.
I've never been a Zelda guy. I've never been into it.
Well, Breath of the Wild, I like it. You're just walking around, open world, you gliding around, doing little puzzles in your shrines.
The last Zelda game I played was on regular Nintendo. The very first Nintendo.
Like the original Nintendo?
The original Zelda.
Well, it's come a little ways since then.
I'm sure it's a little better.
The most annoying part about Breath of the Wild for me is that, like, at least at the part of the game I'm on, your weapons break so quickly that, like, you're constantly having to, like, find new weapons or cook new recipes to get food. Like, you have to legitimately be like, okay, I'm going to put 2 berries and a fish and some of the, like, to like, cook recipes to get your health back up or to get you, through cold weather or whatnot. So it's fun. It's intense. So,
all right.
But as you can tell, trying not to talk about sporting.
Wasn't that more fun? Didn't everyone have a good time? And now we have to ruin this day?
Well, the problem is there's a lot of games that I want to buy, and I don't have the money to buy all the games that I want to buy right now. But what would certainly help me buy more games that I want to buy is an extra $500. And you can get an extra $500 if you go to bluewirepods.com/survey and complete the Blue Wire audience survey about you and your podcast listening habits for a chance to win a $500 gift card. The survey will help create a better advertising experience for audiences and in turn help this show. That's bluewirepods.com/survey, where all you have to do is answer some simple questions for a chance to win $500. Make sure to read the full terms and disclaimer, plus complete the survey for a chance to win. That's bluewirepods.com/survey. The link is also in the show notes of this episode. So there it is.
See, here's a fun thing that happened, by the way. Mafia was on Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
I played it on Game Pass and then got an offer to buy the Mafia collection, which is all 3 games, for like $9.96 or some shit. And so there you go, done deal. Yeah. I had an Xbox gift card, and but it's like a $60 collection, and I was like, for $10, you bet your ass.
Yeah, why not? When I hear Mafia, I think, like, I don't know if this was just like a youth group thing or what, but like back when I was in youth group, they do like the overnight lock-ins or whatnot. There was a game you'd play called Mafia where like one person was the Mafia and you close your eyes, you go around and someone would get killed. You have to try to figure out who the Mafia member is. So that's my Mafia back in my old analog days. So good times. Let's go ahead and shift gears and we'll talk a little bit about Sporting Kansas City here. So before we get into the game, I think an interesting stat to note, and it didn't turn out how we had hoped, but an interesting stat to note is that the game against the Seattle Sounders this past weekend was Peter Vermes' 500th game, regular season game, MLS game, as a manager. And only 2 other coaches in the history of MLS, Siggy Schmidt and Bruce Arena, have reached that milestone. Peter Vermes is the first one to reach it with a single team. So it's a pretty cool milestone for Peter to reach. But I don't know. It didn't go how we had hoped, obviously. But people have their thoughts on Peter Vermes. But I think it's pretty interesting and a pretty cool milestone for somebody like him to reach 500 matches as coach, especially with one club.
Is it cool? Because he was annoyed with the acknowledgement. He was so annoyed. He's like, "Oh, I already hit that, so I guess congrats to me again. I'm sure I'll celebrate it again when it happens again." And it was like, well, God damn, dude.
He probably did think about, like, I'm sure they did a celebration of, like, it was his 500th game in charge in general, and this is like 500 regular season matches. And so, yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw the stat come up, I was like, I thought we just did this not that long ago. So I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
But I mean, only guy to do it with one club. That's wild. I think
it is wild.
Yeah.
But when you're at an away game and you just got your ass kicked, when you had literally maybe two goal opportunities the whole game, like literally, dude, go scrub through the highlights. It ain't shit for us. It ain't nothing. You would think you're watching a Seattle Sounders highlight video. It's crazy.
It's not great, to say the least. They went back to that 4-2-3-1 that Peter's been favoring, and we knew this one was going to be a little bit of a struggle because there was no Jake Davis anywhere, and I think Jake was certainly missed. We had Remy Voltaire and Zoran Basong sort of in that double pivot. And then, outside of that, you're getting as good of a roster or as good as of a lineup as you're going to get this year. Alan Pulido, stop me if I sound like a broken record, continues to not play like a designated player, $4 million man. And what's clear, even though this was on the road and this is a tough place to play in Seattle, but you look at that Seattle roster and sure, they don't have the like standout superstar maybe that they used to have with, Nico Ladero in his heyday, or even Raul Ruidiaz. He's not what he once was. He's a bench guy who's probably going to leave this year. But this was just a more complete team. Albert Rusnak was very good. Christian Roldan, very good. Jordan Morris. Morris. I should call him Jordan Morass.
You said more ass. You're a fan.
Jordan Morris, he was decent in this game. And I think, we'll talk about the game after we take our break here in just a minute. But the biggest takeaway for me is these are two clubs going in two different directions, and there is a wide gulf between the state of these rosters right now.
I can't be any more truthful with you. When I told myself after my show Sunday, I was like, I think I'm going to watch the Emmys on my TV and put the sporting game on the laptop. And then I was like, you know what? No, I haven't. I had to watch a lot of sporting games on demand lately. I'm gonna watch this live. I'm excited. I'm gonna put it on the TV. I'm gonna get some Papa Murphy's. Papa Murphy's a heavily slept on pizza. People need to stop sleeping. That's good shit.
Like the take and bake?
100%.
Okay.
And if you don't know what Papa Murphy's is, I'm sure there's one 4 minutes down the road.
Probably.
There's one on every corner.
Probably next to a family video.
So good. But anyways, I had that, and about 20 minutes into this game, I was like, well, the Emmys are sounding pretty good.
Yeah. At one point you text me, you're like, I think I need to change. And I was like, I don't blame you if you do.
And I didn't. I finished the game and then put on the second half of the Emmys and watched the rest of the Emmys this morning. Whatever. I'm a fan. I like it. Yeah. But the game, I was just ready to snooze, bro. I was just so like, I wasn't tired. I was up. I was ready.
Yeah.
But I was bored.
Yeah.
I was like, tell me when something happens.
Yeah. Because Sporting didn't really, if you look at, so FOTMob has sort of their like momentum tracker. And it's not perfect, but for the first 15 minutes or so, it puts it a little bit more on Sporting side because there were a couple chances early. But then after that, it's a heavily Seattle Sounders favorite. And it just 2.73 expected goals for the Seattle Sounders on FOTMob to 0.39 for Sporting Kansas City. So it's just, basically nailed it right on the head. And there wasn't a whole lot to write home about for Sporting. But why don't we go ahead and take our break here, and then when we come back, we'll dive a little bit more into this game, where it leaves Sporting Kansas City in, I can't even say it with a straight face, the hunt for the MLS Cup playoffs, and where they go from here with a double game week coming up with Colorado and Minnesota. So we'll be right back.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com. I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. Saving money should be easy, with no hoops and no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for just $15 a month with a purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it, and it turns out it really is that easy to get wireless plans for $15 a month. So to get started, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNNOP. There you'll see that right now you can get 3-month plans for only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And if you're worried about keeping your own phone or losing your contacts, with Mint Mobile, you can bring your own phone number along with all of your existing contacts. So find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile right now and get 3 months of premium wireless service for just $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNNOP. That's mintmobile.com/KCSNNOP. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/KCSNNOP. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Man, at least you can say it's a great day to be a Chiefs fan, because I was having a good time. I even I was upstairs making my pizza. It takes like 40 minutes when you get one of their stuffed pizzas. So I'm like, all right.
Oh, the stuffed pizzas are so good.
Very good. Vegan cheese, pretty sticky, but it was still good, you know. But I was, dude, when shit was happening, I mean, Pat Mahomes was pissing me off with these interceptions, and then freaking down to the wire like that, I threw in a couple yeets. I was so pumped. It was a hell of a time.
Look, you can't say these first 2 Chiefs games of the season have not been lacking excitement, because it has come down to the literal final play of the game in both games, and the Chiefs have been on the right side of both of them. So, you know, we'll see how long they can keep that going. It's a fun time to be a Kansas City football fan. I mean, K-State, pretty decent. Mizzou, very good. KU, they, you know, maybe not as good as people had hoped, but they're trying to get back on track. So, I don't know. It's a decent time to be a Kansas City football fan, and the Chiefs don't feel like they're going away anytime soon. Although it's a bummer that Isaiah Pacheco is going to be out with a fractured leg for a while. So, we'll see. There's plenty of Chiefs podcasts on KCSN to get your Chiefs breakdown on. So I'm sure they'll be talking about all the running backs options that are available to the Chiefs right now. So
that is true. I don't even know. There are quite a few, actually. We just have one sporting podcast on here, but when it comes to Chiefs stuff, it's like, hey, take your pick.
They're bringing Kareem Hunt in for a visit, is what the reports are saying. So,
are you serious?
Yeah, I'm being dead serious. So they're supposed to bring him in for a visit on Tuesday.
Was that the guy that kicks women?
I don't remember if he kicks them.
No, it was.
He's not supposed to. Was it
he kicked the woman?
Let me be very clear. I'm not defending whatever he did do. I just don't remember the details specifically what he did.
No,
that is why he's no longer on the team. Yeah,
he gave that woman just a little shove with his foot.
Unfortunately, the unfortunate state of the NFL is I cannot keep straight who did what to who at what point when they're cut from their team. So yeah, our producer is confirming what you're saying. So that's why he got cut, and the Chiefs wouldn't have Pacheco if it weren't for that. And they've won Super Bowls without Kareem Hunt, but he's a free agent now, so they're reportedly bringing him in for a visit.
What's the statute of limitations on being mad at somebody? Hey, we can't have you here. It's all politics, dude. It's the way things look. It's all freaking base layer paint. Nothing matters. Nothing matters. You mess up, you go away, your heat dies down, and you come back.
Welcome to America.
That's
how it works.
Crazy.
Yeah. Jerick McKinnon, you bring him back too. That's my vote, but nobody.
He doesn't kick women.
That's true. Yeah, I do have to say, before we talk about this game, you mentioned Papa Murphy's Pizza, which, big fan. Grew up on Papa Murphy's Pizza. Their stuffed pizza, the filled pizza. Oh, so good. You know what? Do you have TikTok? You watch TikTok at all? No. Okay.
No.
Well, I have a TikTok. I don't post anything. I just consume content. You want to know what my TikTok algorithm has been for the last week? And I don't know how I got on it, but I can't get off of it. Brooklyn Italian pizzerias, where it's just like Italian New Yorkers, where they're like, hey, we're going to make our sweet ricotta pie here with the pepperonis. And they're just showing like 6-minute videos of them like stretching out the dough and baking it and whatnot. And by the end, and then they cut it and it's so crispy, you can hear it. And I'm just like, now I need to go to Brooklyn to get stupid Crispy's pizza. but I'm not going to go to Brooklyn.
This is how they fucking talk, bro. We got to slice the zaw.
Yeah, that's what like. We make the mozzarella fresh in the back. You got the simple quality ingredients and the pesto with the vodka sauce, and I'm just like, it looks so good. It's called Crispy's Pizza on TikTok. If you watch it, all you'll want to do is eat pizza. But
that's how they talk in my Mafia game.
I'm sure they probably make good pizza too. So, enough about pizza. I could talk about. We could just have a pizza pot. I'm sure.
Why not, dude? Why not? What do you want to talk about this game? Cool. Let's talk about how we got murdered. It's not a fun time. I had friends go to this game. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, you had to go up there for this. Sounds like a horrible time.
I mean, I will say, this is a stadium that I would like to get to at some point because, well, first off, Seattle is a gorgeous city. I love the city of Seattle. I've been there many a time. I have been in Seattle on the same day when Sporting Kansas City is playing the Seattle Sounders in Seattle, but my trip was not for that game, so I couldn't go, unfortunately. So it was a big bummer. But I would love to get there one day. And yeah, Sporting early on looked a little feisty. There was even a Danny Rosero play off of a corner kick in the 16th minute, where for a hot second it looked like he scored, and Christian Roldan just blasted the ball off the line. And I was surprised I didn't spend a little bit longer looking at this. And this is maybe why MLS needs goal line technology, because I was like, that ball looked like it might have crossed the line, but nothing given. And beyond that was about the last good thing that happened for Sporting Kansas City. And it just was a somewhat unfortunate game beyond there. But I think what it did go to show is, again, Danny Rosero, very threatening piece off of set pieces outside of a later blocked penalty kick. I think that's about the only good thing that came from this game for Sporting KC. I do want to acknowledge, though, should have acknowledged this early on. Last week we talked about how we were going to put Tim Melia's face on the rock and tweet out a video of it. One of our listeners, Drake, took it upon himself. He's like, I'm not a wrestling guy. You'll have to point me in the direction of a clip, but I kind of want to take a stab at this. He did a fantastic job. He did it, and it was cracking me up. And we were tweeting it out all week before this game, and I knew it was going to come back and bite us in the face, almost certainly. But
I don't really care about that stuff. You know what I mean? I'm all about the banter. It's like I didn't actually think we'd win this game.
No, I didn't either.
But I'm all for pissing some babies off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what's actually funny, I don't know if you noticed this, Seattle fans didn't really bite on it until after the game. After they won, then I had a couple people start quote tweeting it and be like, and then what happened? And then blah, blah, blah.
Did they really?
Yeah. There was one guy, it was kind of funny. There was one, he quote tweeted it, and he's like, for those who don't know, Cody Rhodes, who Christian Roldan's face is on here, he actually is the undisputed WWE champion right now because he beat The Rock's bloodline at WrestleMania, and Tim Melia is on The Rock. So, and I was like, okay, yes, thank you.
Hey, look at that
breakdown.
Wrestling fan. Subscribe to his podcast.
But anyway, shout out to Drake. We appreciate it. It was hilarious. I was cracking.
Yeah, absolutely.
So very well done. And my only wish is that Tim Melia would have done it again to Christian Roldan at some point.
I got to tell you though, Tim is not the reason we lost this damn game. No, I mean, go ahead and fast forward to where he freaking blocked the penalty kick from Albert Rusnak.
Well,
unbelievable.
Even in the goal they did score, again, both their goals came off set pieces and corner kicks. Jordan Morris heads one down. Tim actually saves it, but then the ball gets spilled because he crashes into Tim Leibold, who's standing at the far post. And then the only reason that was it Jackson Reagan, I think, who scored the first goal for Seattle. The only reason that happened is because, Tim lost the ball after Leibold came crashing into him. So even on this first goal, Tim made a really good reaction save and just a little unfortunate.
Yeah, a little unfortunate. I mean, dude, this Leibold thing, I don't know, man. I'm not sold on him, and he's also taking shots, turning and shooting on goal, and I'm like, when does that work for you? When has that worked up for the team? Can you pass it off to someone who's supposed to shoot? It's just wild to me. I don't get it.
I think you saw Logan and Denbe do it in the playoffs last year. He's like, left backs can score goals from distance? Okay, let me try that. And turns out...
Yeah, maybe. And Denbe's not in the roster anymore?
I didn't know. I don't remember if he was on the injury report for this one or what was going on. But I don't know, man. It's a weird time. And again, before the second half was over, Sporting KC gave up another one, again, sort of off of a set piece against the run of play. And it's just Paul Rothrock is able to, get in there and have a wide open goal with, really lazy defending and just not good for Sporting Kansas City. There was another goal that was called back that was offsides. Seattle should have doubled the lead earlier in the game. They didn't do that. It just became all Seattle. And then, like you said, later in the second half, Zoran Basong clips a Seattle Sounders player in the box. Really no argument for me on the penalty. Albert Rusnak steps up. And then Tim Melia, like we said, if there's a bright spot in this game, it's Tim Melia. He blocks the penalty to keep it 2-0, and it ends 2-0. Sporting didn't really have many opportunities beyond that. Eric Tommy had a dangerous chance, but he was offside when ultimately it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But I don't know. I think for me, it's a bummer of a game. There's one clear and obvious Holiday Distillery toast of the match for me in this game. It has to be Tim Melia.
Duh.
Tim Melia is the Holiday Distillery toast of the match, hands down, no question. Made some good saves, blocked a penalty kick as Tim Melia does, because Tim Melia is still Tim Melia, and it's not his fault that we lost this game. And I feel like so many times this year we've been sitting here saying Tim Melia did the best he could. It's simply not his fault because he got left out to dry by his defenders. I feel like that happened again today. He can't score goals. He's the goalkeeper. He did the best he could. Tim Melia, Holiday Distillery toast of the match. So
there it is. We're done and dusted here, bro. Like, this season's been done for a bit, but we can finally just enjoy watching these other teams.
Yeah.
It's going to become a Royals situation where you're like, who are the Royals playing this week? Oh, Red Sox are in town. I'll go watch the Red Sox.
Well, what is a bummer is this team.
I want to clarify, that's Royals from years past, not this year. By the way, Royals have been fun. So
are fun this year. Yeah, Bobby Witt probably should be MVP, but
100%.
What sucks about Sporting this year is I can probably count on one hand where they've actually put together a complete game beginning to end. And so, I feel like you look at what Peter says after this game, and, I think we actually started off the game really well. We had 3 or 4 corners in a row. We were keeping them in their end. We didn't give them anything. And then they got their goal off us being in a position to play forward, but we played backwards. Volliter gets stuck, and then we were for sure the better team at that time, but they scored. I don't know if it put us back on our heels a bit or what. It feels like it's the same story every time. You're playing well, you're pushing, you can't quite get it. They score, wheels fall off. And I feel like what is really all you can hope for in a season like this, when we are so clearly not making the playoffs, and there's a roster overhaul potentially coming, who are the players that when you go down a goal or two continue to fight and continue to push? And it doesn't feel like there are a lot of them right now. One of them is Jake Davis, and he's suspended because of a yellow card accumulation and a red card. Didn't realize you could actually have both of those happen at the same time. So he has still another game suspension to serve in the midweek game. But
it's double suspension?
Yeah, it was 2-game suspension.
Whoa! I didn't know this.
Yeah, some MLS bullshit.
Yeah.
So he won't be back for the midweek.
Good. Then he's going to be rested for Open Cup final. That's where I'm at, man. Because as far as I'm concerned, these next 2 games, call up some SKC2 guys, man. Get our people fresh for next Wednesday's Open Cup final.
Yeah. Literally all I had hoped for was who's still showing fight in this team. Johnny Russell's getting very frustrated. I don't blame him. He's showing fight, but he's not going to go anywhere this offseason. Probably he's the captain. He'll be back. He'll be a Sporting legend one day. But some of these other guys, Tim Leibold or whatnot, if you want to make a case for you to be back here next year, show me something. Show me some effort. These defenders who we already know Sporting brought in as yet to make an appearance defender because he's battling an injury. Surprise, central defender. But show me something that makes me think you want to be in Kansas City next year, or otherwise I say you're going to lose your job. And I think Peter probably feels that way too at this point because he's beyond frustrated, it would seem. So I don't know. It's just it's tough. And, where things stand right now in the conference, somehow Sporting are still above Seattle, or not Seattle, St. Louis, excuse me, which is fun. But they're not going to, Sporting will not officially get eliminated on Wednesday, but we can officially get eliminated from playoff contention mathematically this weekend against Minnesota. Because basically where things stand right now is we have 5 games left. We're on 28 points. Our maximum points scored, if we won all 5 games, we'd add 15 more points. That's 43 points. Minnesota's in 9th place right now, 39 points. So if they win in a midweek, that gets them to 42 points. But if Sporting loses, I guess, right now, that drops us down to... they can get eliminated, actually. I lied. If we lose on Wednesday, then our maximum points goes to... no. I'm right. It's this weekend where we get eliminated. Basically, if we drop points on Wednesday and then we lose to Minnesota on Saturday, that's playoffs are officially mathematically out of the question. So
put us out of our misery, dude. It's been like this for a bit. It's like 2 steps back, 1 step forward. It hasn't been any fun.
No.
Let's just call it. Time of death.
Do you? Well, then I guess so. What is it? You're saying maybe call up some SKC2 players, but is that essentially what you think your plan would be for this Colorado game and the Minnesota game this weekend? It's Colorado at home, and then Minnesota again on the weekend at home. So a couple of home games before traveling to Los Angeles for the Open Cup in the midweek. You just play the backups and see what you can get out of this one. Is that what you do?
Well, guess what? We're going to win Wednesday because I'm coming. And I haven't been able to go to a game in a long time. So I feel it. That power I'm bringing, it's going to be good.
Okay.
But I don't know. They won't do that. I mean, they got professional athletes on their team that need to get minutes. And they have to, even if they're going to if there's a trade situation, in the off season, you want to wheel and deal some players, you got to put them on the field and showcase your product.
Yeah. By the way, Logan Ndembe was injured. He's got a hamstring injury. So that's the deal.
Come on, Logan, pick it up. What are we doing? You come back and then you go back where you were. What is happening?
I wouldn't be surprised if over these next couple of games, we do see Steven Afrifa start. We do see Alanis Vargas start. We see Memo get in there. Maybe we get crazy and we see Pulskamp or Danny Flores or
Well, Memo was coming back from injury. We did get 32 minutes of Memo.
So. Yeah, and that's good. That's good. I think we're going to need Memo for the LAFC game next week. But I just, I don't know, man. It's just, it's a very frustrating situation. Colorado is a good team. They're 3rd place in the Western Conference right now. They do allow some goals defensively, but they score goals at a rapid rate. This is going to be a tough game for them. So for me, the only thing left in this season is looking to next Wednesday in that U.S. Open Cup game.
100%.
And, I can't sit here.
You want to say the season's over. It's not. That's still something to very much look forward to.
Sure. And somehow, out of all of this, we have qualified for a CONCACAF Champions Cup spot, which doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. I just think, Colorado, it's going to be a difficult game. We lost to them back on July 4th because we gave up a late stoppage time penalty kick that I think it made it 2-1 on 4th of July. So that's a very frustrating memory that Sporting Kansas City has to deal with. I mean, Colorado's in decent run of form over their last 3 games. They've won 2, drawn 1, so they're going for their 4th straight unbeaten game. It's been, I guess dating back to the MLS regular season, they haven't lost a game in 5 or 6 games since, a road game against the LA Galaxy. So they're a tough team that's going to come in. Rafael Navarro is a very dangerous player. Georgi Mihailovic, very dangerous player. Cole Bassett, again, they have guys that can score, and I just think that Sporting's going to have difficulty slowing them down.
Colorado's going to be rough. I'm excited to watch them play. Colorado, that is. But also, Saturday we can play a little spoiler with Minnesota, man, who's really trying to hang on to that 9th spot. They're 5 points clear of Dallas, and so it's like they would like to get those easy points against a struggling SKC team, but we could really F them up and make them worry a little bit.
We could. Yeah, Minnesota, I mean, they're a team that, like, I don't tend to have anything against. I think, if they made it into the playoffs, they might even be a Western Conference team that I'd be okay rooting for. Like, that's fine. They just beat St. Louis pretty handily at City Park, which always makes me happy. So I'm happy for that. And then they won their MLS game prior to that on the road in San Jose, 2-1. So they have a midweek game at home this week against Cincinnati before they come on the road to Kansas City. They've won their last 2 road games, so it's very much a possibility that Minnesota could come in here. And again, they have some very dangerous players that can come in and will cause problems for Sporting Kansas City. I just I don't see Sporting necessarily getting a win, unfortunately, out of either of these 2 games. They should. I mean, Children's Mercy Park should be a fortress for Sporting Kansas City, but it just doesn't feel like it is anymore.
It's really not.
So, I don't know. It's frustrating. Jake Davis will be back for Minnesota United, so that's good. It's just, I don't know. It's a frustrating time right now, and there's not much that Sporting Kansas City can do to overcome it. So, it is what it is. Is there anything else you wanted to say about those 2 games or anything before we kind of call those what they are?
Pivot elsewhere and say, don't you wish we had a freaking player on our team that comes back from injury and gets 2 goals and an assist, like Leo Messi? Can you imagine having someone like that on your team? We're like, I wonder if he returns to form. Oh, yep, there he is, being the best.
I did a little. I saw that they were MLS was tweeting about how he scored like however many goals he scored in 19 MLS matches or whatever, and I was like, hold on, he's only played 19 MLS games since debuting for Inter Miami. And I looked, I was like, that's crazy. And then I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I guess he has missed a lot due to injury or international play or whatnot. He's played less than half of the MLS games he's been eligible for since joining Inter Miami. They've played 40 league games since he debuted for them at the end of last year. He's played 19. That's insane.
They've built a good roster around him. It's not just one player trying to get shit done like Zlatan on LA Galaxy or whoever on LA Galaxy. Like,
yeah, Chicharito. They had
right.
Yeah,
it takes more than one person to get it done, and Miami has done that. It's unfortunate that if you're a fan, your tickets have now skyrocketed, so that kind of sucks. It just comes with the territory.
Yeah. I guess that should be sort of a blessing for Sporting Kansas City fans who were able to see Lionel Messi play at Arrowhead earlier this year. I mean, you have less than a 50% chance of seeing Lionel Messi play if he plays in an MLS game, it would appear.
What a good point, because that was fun to be a part of.
Yeah.
I'm glad we went to that. I say we, you did not.
I know.
No. Right. You're like, yes, don't remind me. I'm crying.
My brother who had a wedding event that I was very happy to be at, Edward, if you're listening. I do not regret going to your engagement party. I wish I could have seen Lionel Messi also play, but
very happy to be at, I assure you. Very thrilled.
It was a fun party, but I was bummed that it was the same weekend as Lionel Messi.
Are you in his wedding? Are you in that thing?
I mean, we haven't talked about it. Yes, I'm ring bearer. I'm gonna pretend to be short. I'm gonna wear tails. I'm gonna be the ring bearer. And
why is ring bearer gotta be short? I think it could be anybody.
1 year for Halloween when I was in high school, I was in youth group. Went to a youth group Halloween party, and I dressed as Yoda for Halloween. And I had a big long robe, and I had a Yoda mask and like a staff and everything, and a big long robe. And I walked around on my knees, and because my robe was so long, like you couldn't see my feet. And I would just walk up to people's door, and people probably thought I was just a small child until these big ass high school hands would come like grab candy or whatever. But
it's trick or treating, man. That's how the Lord Farquaad character in Shrek the Musical does it. He's on his knees the whole time. It's a great character, but I'm like, I can't fathom being on my knees. Speaking of ring bearer, real quick, I ruined a couple's wedding when I was a young lad. Ruined it. I didn't go down the aisle. I wouldn't go. I was the ring bearer, and I said, nope, too many people, not going.
Little did you know you'd be lead-in stage productions, and now you're like, give me an audience.
Now I'm like, no, anything less than 200 people is a joke. Like, what are we doing? But no, it's I couldn't I couldn't do it. And like, I saw that guy when I was older and he like joked about it. And I was like pretty embarrassed about it. I was like, come on, I was a child. Why are you doing this to me?
I also was a ring bearer, but I fulfilled my duties as a child at my aunt's
Good.
second wedding. First wedding.
My mom was trying to give me that pep talk. She's like, you got this. I was like, I'm not going.
Like, I done got it. You can't make me.
Oh, man.
The weird thing was Dan was 27 years old when it happened.
No, that's how old I was when I officiated my brother's wedding. I have no business officiating a wedding. That was a horrible time.
Does that mean I can call you Pastor Dan?
It's Father Dan, actually. You can call me your daddy. Call me your daddy.
Father Daniel. Don't like that.
You'll like it.
Getting back to soccer, just a moment here before we move on from Sporting KC. Did you see this tweet from Mr. Tom Bogert earlier in the day on Monday, where he was talking about most points dropped from a winning position in MLS this season? Do you want to take a guess as how many points Sporting Kansas City has dropped from a winning position this year? It's not great.
Oh, yeah. Let me take a quick guess. If we have 28 points currently, so I'm going to guess that we have dropped 20.
22 points have been dropped from a winning position. So even if you take half of that, we're in the playoffs. We're right there on that playoff line. If you don't drop those points, it shoots you all the way up to second place in the West. You got 50 points.
Pretty awful. That's pretty awful.
The good news is we're tied for second. The Philadelphia Union, DC United, and Sporting Kansas City have all dropped 22 points. Somehow Philly or DC is in a playoff position, even though they've dropped that many points. You want to know the one team who's worse than Sporting Kansas City?
San Jose?
St. Louis City. They have dropped 25 points from a winning position this year.
Wow.
So they want to take credit for beating Sporting Kansas City or whatever jokes they want to make, by all means. The only silver lining this year is that St. Louis can't talk their shit because they're just as bad, if not worse, than we are.
True. I mean, I want to look a St. Louis fan in the eye and say, hey, I see you. Like, I understand you.
Build bridges.
I just want to give you a big hug and say, let's get through this together.
Right.
Let's fight each other next year.
Right. Let's lay our swords down. We don't have to do this.
Hey, you want to cuddle?
You want to be little spoon or big spoon?
Whatever feels good. Let whatever takes this pain away.
Just call me Daddy Daniel.
I'm Father Koos.
Father Koos. This has gone off the rails.
Your sense.
You're gonna come next time. We're gonna have the white collar and the black robe.
I love a good costume change.
Yeah. Do you have a costume for Halloween this year? You do Halloween really?
Not really. When I used to dress up at work and stuff, I would basically come to work as a soccer player because I own a billion soccer jerseys.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't really do Halloween. I don't have I don't have a party or anything to go to this year. I don't need one. I'm fine just hanging out. I'll watch Agatha All Along because that's coming out this week. That looks scary as hell.
2-episode premiere. Does it look scary? I haven't even watched a trailer because I don't watch trailers if I'm going to watch it anyways. You know?
And it looks like maybe scary is the wrong word, but creepy.
Creepy, huh? I like that.
Scarier than Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which they billed as was going to be scary, and it was not at all scary. So
I'm into it, man. I like a good spooky.
Producer Nick says it looks scary. I will not watch.
Come on, man. What is the deal with Nick?
I'm going to be watching. I'll have the lights off. I'll have my dog with me to protect me from all the scary things, but I'm gotta turn the light off and watch it, and it'll be fun.
Nice.
So there's a couple other things just soccer related. I do want to, one's more tangentially soccer related that I want to touch on. And then one actually somewhat impacts Sporting Kansas City here before we hang it up. One of my biggest complaints with pro referees, and I got many, but one of my biggest complaints with pro referees has been their lack of transparency when it comes to accountability for calls they make on the field, especially even when it comes to pool reporters. There's a designated MLS pool reporter at every game. I was actually an alternate MLS pool reporter last year, so if Daniel Sperry or Thad Bell were not at a game, I would be the one who would be responsible for asking the referee questions. I didn't ever have to do it. But But you get asked, 2 questions and you get one follow-up. You ask a question and it's like, what did you see on, the penalty for Zoran Basong that made you call a penalty in the spot? And their answer is always like, we saw that Zoran Basong committed a penalty in the penalty spot or in the box, so we called a penalty. Like it's very stupid answers. I read a pool report from this Chiefs-Bengals game where the referee was answering a pool reporter's questions. And why can't we have accountability and transparency with pro referees? Refs are given, because I read this. I tweeted about it. You can go read it. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but like one of the questions was, what was your interpretation, or walk me through why Jamar Chase was whistled for unsportsmanlike conduct? And he goes, it's pretty clear cut. It was simply abusive language toward a game official. That's all it was. And there was really no interpretation. I'm not going to repeat to you what he said, but there was no interpretation with the language to use. It was just abusive language. Like that, more transparency and clarity than we've ever gotten in an answer from pro referees.
Dude, if there's a flag for that, though, damn well it was probably pointed. He probably called him a racial slur or something like it. Definitely.
Yeah. But then they even asked, are you able to say what he was upset about? And the ref's he was questioning the tackle. He thought it was a hip drop tackle on the previous play. And so he came to me wondering about that. And that was the beginning. I just appreciate when referees and officials are just honest and transparent and not scared about what it is that people are going to think. And it made me, glad that NFL referees, at least this one, felt this comfortable doing it. But it just made me sad that pro referees are so guarded and just have no accountability or anything, at least publicly. So I don't know. That's just my little soapbox that I saw that I thought about this week. But the last thing, this actually somewhat directly impacts potentially Sporting Kansas City, is there was a signing just earlier this week. It was Monday around noon Central Time. LAFC signed a player. They are bringing back none other than 35-year-old Carlos Vela. He has sat out this entire season. I don't know what sort of shape he is in. They are certainly not lacking for attacking players because they got Olivier Giroud, they got Dennis Bouanga, they got Mateus Bogusz, they got Christian Oliveira. They have a very high-powered attack. Yet this is one more player who probably is going to come off the bench. But if you're Sporting Kansas City, you're playing in a U.S. Open Cup final at BMO Stadium in L.A. It's the 80th minute. It's a close game, and you look over and you see LAFC bringing in somebody like Carlos Vela, even though he's older. That's a scary proposition that, it just feels like rich get a little richer. But we might see one of the most decorated LAFC players in the history of their club back on the field when Sporting Kansas City plays them in the U.S. Open Cup final.
That's pretty wild.
It's interesting. I don't know. Like I said, I don't expect he'll be in great shape, but he will be available. He hasn't played for another team during the Open Cup, so that does not cup tie him. So, he'll be around for a playoff run and the Open Cup. So, just worth mentioning. We'll talk more about the Open Cup game next week after when we record ahead of that game, but just something to keep an eye on. So, you got anything else for our good listeners this week?
No, I got to tell you, I've been spending some time here looking at ways to summarize Chip the Keeper's message that he sent me. Is that not something I can do until I get the new iPhone? Or because I got the new iOS. Yeah. Is that not something I can do yet?
You have the Apple Intelligence to cut it down for you?
I think I can do it on the OS Sequoia here on the Mac.
Did you do it?
So, I don't know how.
Well, I don't know how either.
See, it's going to take some research. And Chip, man, I love you, Chip. Fucking love you, dude, because you sent some stuff, bro. And I dude, there's got to be a way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I haven't tried it, but Chip's always great. He sent a whole lot of stuff, a lot of good stats. And, we're kind of running out of time here for this week. So, Chip, we'll get back to your Chip the Keeper stats in the weeks to come, but we always appreciate you sending what you can. And hey, if you have thoughts on where you want this team to go this offseason, if you have thoughts on who you want us to try to interview as we get closer to the offseason, if you have thoughts on what you want to see from Sporting Kansas City in these last handful of games, you can always text us at the KCSN hotline powered by Mint Mobile, 913-407-6524. Thank you. If you've sent a text before, we appreciate it. We don't always get to all of them, but We appreciate those of you who have sent stuff in via the KCSN hotline. So make sure you send us your thoughts. That's 913-407-6524, KCSN hotline, powered by Mint Mobile. But that's all I got. If you don't got anything else, I think we're ready to call this one good.
Yeah, I think that's it, man. Good times.
Well, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. I'm actually looking forward to what we'll be able to do this offseason. I'm going to try to do some more interviews, going to get to know some players a little better, maybe try to get some former players, some coaches on here, and it'll be a good thing. So, like I said, let us know who you want to see. But make sure you leave us that 5-star rating and review. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram, at NoOtherPod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMac03. You can send us an email, nootherpod@gmail.com. Or you can check us out on YouTube, KCSN Soccer, or via the Kansas City Sports Network app. But until next time, he's Dan. I'm Jimmy. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.
There's got to be a way to summarize. I swear to God, I'm working on it.